Can everyone see the welcome slide? Are we good?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, super. So I'm Rhonda Streminger. I'll introduce myself in a minute, but I just want to reconfirm that we are recording the session. There is going to be one 15-minute break and one 10-minute break. So it's a pretty dense time frame. So hopefully everyone will be here and be present while we are in session. So I think we've got a good critical mass now. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our team. So the first person who's going to talk is Nathalie.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Nathalie Beenaerts. I'm a professor at the Hasselt University in Belgium, and I'm running or trying to operate the field research center of that university. Well, they asked me also to tell you why I was convinced to become a member of OBFS. I will tell you the brief history, because we're a very young field research center. And when I was asked to make a feasibility study, whether we should, invest as a university in this FRC or field research center, I was looking on the internet to see whether there are organizations having the same objectives and as we would have then in the future. That was in 2012. And I didn't find anything in Europe. So I looked further on the internet, and then I found the website of OBFS. And I saw one contact, which was from the secretary at that time, Philippe Cohen. And I wrote him an email just asking, like, we are starting a field station and these are the challenges we have and blah, 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 blah. And he was really enthusiastic immediately, and accidentally he was coming to visit Belgium because he had some family here. And he said, "Can I visit your area?" Because we didn't have anything physical yet, not a field, not a building or anything. So I invited him. We made a walk in this area, and he was really even more enthusiastic. And so he convinced me to join and come to my first annual meeting. That was the one in Florida at that time. And I met he already convinced me, but then I actually did meet all these managers of field stations with the same challenges, same objectives, but also the same challenges and problems to, establish these and continue the field stations. And that's why I'm still with OBFS, because each year we have this setting also of being able to express our needs and to see how other people solve them and so other, and see that everybody's struggling with the same issues and challenges. So that's more or less my history of why I joined and I'm still with OBFS.
Thank you, Nathalie. So I'll go next. I'm Rhonda Streminger, and I am an outreach associate now at the University of Padova. And I'll actually be talking about our field station here at UniPD that's in Chioggia a little bit later. But I also, and the reason why I'm really here representing OBFS is I co-direct a field station in Mexico, CCHAS. And we were a new field station getting started in Mexico, based in the US at the time, and really found OBFS resources and the other stations to be super helpful. CCHAS, which I won't be talking about because it's in Latin America, but that field station is in a mesotropical, subtropical forest, and is in the Sierra Huasteca region. And there we study fish in a hybrid zone. So if anyone is interested in learning more about that work at CCHAS, I'm happy to talk about that separately. But for today, we do want to focus on Europe and African field stations. So welcome, and you'll be hearing more from me soon. So I'm going to go ahead and let Regis introduce himself and his station.
Okay, everybody, hi. I'm Regis Schupper, the Pimpon field station manager in France, and I'm co-manager of another field station that is an island in France too. And I will speak quite slowly, and as you can see, my English is just enough to take part to the international committee. I belong to the OBFS for my station and for my university since 5 years. I discovered the OBFS just by hazard by talking with a researcher who was used to travel worldwide. And since I arrived at the university, I just never met people who do the same job as me. And belonging to a worldwide network of station manager was just a great discovery, because I used to work in an organization and to network with other people. So it was just a great chance for me to share my job and the way I manage a field station with other people like you. And I took the opportunity of the first annual meeting in Europe that took part in Nathalie's station to discover all people who belong to the OBFS. And I decided to join the international committee to improve and to show the swarming of the station to my university. And well, it's a great opportunity for me to take part to a worldwide net, and there is a quite great degree of freedom and a face of all the OBFS members that permit to lead projects like this one or other projects that would be presented by Rhonda just after, like the matching program. So welcome. And it's a very good English training for me to see people out of the France.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Donovan Tai. See, just a little typo there above my name. My name is Donovan Tai, and I am the Field Director for Organization for Tropical Studies in Skukuza. We've been running programs in Kruger National Park for roughly 20 years now, 19 years, but only far more recently established a field station here in Skukuza, officially opened in 2017. And it was in 2017 when I took on the role of field station manager and later field director. But during that time, came into the field station world with very little experience in how to set one up and how to manage one, and came across the OBFS network online and found it instantly incredibly resourceful and useful and collaborative, and have really benefited tremendously from having access to just so much experience in terms of field station establishment, strategies, research development, and such. So we've been a member since about 2018. Attended the first in-person meeting last year in Michigan, and yeah, just a really great bunch of people, and incredible just the amount of information that has been gained over the years from a huge variety of field stations set in a very diverse set of systems and settings, everything from national parks to urban field stations and everything in between. So it's been an incredibly valuable network for us to be a part of, made some really great connections and made some great friends. And we hope that it can, the sort of networking opportunity can expand further afield. Thank you.
Thanks, Don. Sorry for the typo.
No, it's my fault.
So do you want to go ahead and do the next slide?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of today's meeting, today's conference, the primary objective is really just to build a network. OBFS, the majority of the field stations that belong to the network are based in North America. We do have a range of field stations based outside of North America. But when looking regionally, there's not a huge amount of opportunity for stations based in Africa and Europe to network with each other. So that's really one of the key objectives of this meeting, is just to get to know one another, see the different field stations, the different contexts for different field stations within the region, and provide opportunities for potential collaborations going forward. It's obviously a really nice opportunity to discuss some of the common issues or challenges that field stations face. So we're going to be setting up some breakout rooms to discuss topics such as fundraising, which I'm sure, no doubt, everybody has, is a key challenge for many field stations. Development, everything from infrastructure development, also in terms of setting up strategic plans for field station, both short-term and long-term plans. Research, obviously one of the key objectives of the majority of field stations, and also looking at ways to how to support research effectively at stations, and potentially how to link research with education across different field stations. Sustainability, another topic that we all really focus on is how to actually produce a sustainable field station. Obviously, funding is always a challenge. So how can we best look at sustainability options in terms of long-term longevity of field stations? We see globally many trends of field stations shutting down. So what can we do to make field stations more sustainable in the long run? Community, as I mentioned, one of the key objectives is to build a community both regionally and globally, and also to build community in a local setting for your field station. So what are the opportunities for community engagement, which links strongly into promoting value for a field station? What are the options there? How can you focus? What are the key points that we should be focusing on in our local context to ensure that the field station has a strong value, and which ultimately feeds into long-term sustainability of stations? And then being part of the OBFS network, we will look at opportunities presented by the network, what members can benefit from being part of this global network, and just give you a broader overview of OBFS International.
Thanks, Don. So I'm gonna, for the sake of time, try not to go too fast, but also be a little brief because we don't want to get too behind on schedule. But I want to talk now about our president, Laura Rocca-Tenants, who was going to be here, but can't because she's in Ohio. So it's like 2 a.m. there. I have to look at the time difference, or 4 a.m. So I have a little video of her that I'm going to share with everybody. This should work. And then, so you'll get a little bit of information from her about OBFS, the organization, and we're going to really talk about the OBFS side of things a lot at the beginning here. So let's make sure, is everyone seeing the video? Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, and I should mention this was recorded for the Latin America Regional Conference. So this was back in March. So some of the things that she mentions were about upcoming events like this conference, which is happening now. So I'll correct a few things at the end of her talk, but I just wanted to at least let you know that this was from March.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We're really excited to talk with you a little bit about what we're doing here at OBFS, and hopefully I will be brief. Rhonda, go ahead. So you're here because you know what field stations are, biological research laboratories are, but we just wanted to reiterate that any organization that calls itself a field station or a marine lab and supports scientists conducting research on or near its premises, you count. You matter to us, and you're welcome to be in our community of folks. Usually folks' missions include education and public engagement as well, but field stations come in all shapes and sizes. They can be associated with a university or with a private nonprofit. They can be small or large. They can be remote or located near a city. We come in all shapes and sizes, and that's part of what makes our community really fantastic to be a part of. Next. We have stations all around the world, and that is what our international committee has been working really hard to make sure that folks like yourselves are aware of this and that we want you to be a part of our community. Our mission is really help stations increase their effectiveness. And if that's through fundraising or public outreach, through getting scientists to come to your station or having the community know more about what you're doing, we kind of are the umbrella of all the best practices and a community of really caring folks that want to share that with each other. I wanted to make sure that I reiterated what Rhonda mentioned earlier, which is that the entire board and all of the committee chairs are volunteer positions. So no one's paid for this work, but that also means it's open to any of you to join us. And this is where we would love to hear your voices come into the conversation more by joining us on our board or at a committee level. So please think about that throughout the course of the day. And as you learn more about the organization and each other, we'd love to think about you joining us. Next.
So we have related, so I'm going to slow you down a little bit. I know we're let
Okay. I know. I feel like I'm on a fast time frame, so I'm trying to talk fast. Right now, this is our website, and you can see there's lots of information on here for members, but we are redoing our website, and this should become much more user-friendly in the next year or so. Next. 2 years ago, we started working on a new strategic plan, and we have some priority areas of collaborations, and that is with other organizations like Ecological Society of America, or these could be other international organizations that we're working with to increase the scope of field stations. Also working on our human diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, member support, advocacy, both to governmental organizations, but also just to the general public, and then governance and sustainability of the organization itself, as well as our international efforts, which, as you've seen from the hard work of Rhonda and David and Joe today, this is, they really have amped up the efforts to include international stations in a way that we're really excited about. And we hope that you're going to be excited about it as well. Next. So one of our main areas of expertise that we've been working really hard on is equity, inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility. And so we've been working hard to share the good work that our organizations are doing in this realm. And we've also been really working very hard to get trainings for our members in this area out there on a regular basis so that we all can be growing together to be more inclusive and equitable. There will be an award for advancing equity in the field sciences coming up. And so please stay tuned for that. And if you are doing good work in your community, please nominate yourselves, or if you know of another station, please go ahead and think about nominating them. Next. We've also been working on other ways to be more open and inclusive to a wider audience. So we have a progressive fee structure. If you're concerned that membership fees for OBFS may be too steep for your station, please reach out to us. We want you to be included. And so we have ways of helping you make sure that you can meet our fee structure and participate as a member station. You can sign up for our listserv, which is a great way to get information from other stations around the world. We've been starting a member station exchange program so that folks can visit other stations and kind of learn from the work that they're doing. We've been working on our safety and code of conduct efforts at the organizational level so that people feel safe and included no matter where the field station is located. We've helped with things like the virtual field, which is an online accessible program for people to showcase ecosystems at their stations and also learn from other habitats around the world. There's a very active art and science collaborative that's taking off again so that we can reach people of all different types of learning backgrounds, whether they come from a humanities background or more of a science background. And this year we launched some small funding opportunities for individuals or organizations that are helping to advance the initiatives in our strategic plan. Next. So where are we going as an organization? We have lots of room for improvement, and we know that. So we're really working on some of again, the code of conduct and our bylaws to make sure that people feel safe and welcome at field stations around the world. We are working on an anonymous reporting mechanism for transgressions so that we can make sure that people are held accountable. We want to continue wide collaboration with other organizations. We are supporting our strategic plan with funding so that these ideas that we've come up with in our strategic plan are able to be implemented by the use of, directed funds. And we, as you can tell from this meeting and the meeting that will be happening next month, we're really working to increase our engagement in our international committee and in more diverse populations in the United States and abroad, so that we really are a welcoming organization that makes sure that we're meeting all of our member needs. We're really excited that you're here. This has been a lot of work for Rhonda, David, and Joe to put together. Thank you, Bernice and Paula, for doing the translation today. I hope that you all learn a lot from each other today and have a really wonderful day being inspired by other field stations. And we hope to see you at our annual meeting in Costa Rica in September. Take care. Please reach out with any questions or comments. Can you do the next one, Rhonda? You can reach out to me at my contact information here. If you're not a member of OBFS, please consider joining. And please join us at our next board meeting, which is April 18th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if you'd like to participate in kind of more of the behind the scenes stuff that's happening at OBFS. Thanks so much. And I look forward to getting to know all of you. Thanks, Rhonda.
Okay, so let me escape out of.
Thanks, Laura.
Okay, let me close this and get back to our presentation today.
Thank you so much.
Okay, sorry, it's not stopping, it's starting again. So give me 1 minute while I close the screens and get back to our presentation. So Laura does send her regrets. And I'm trying to make this full, okay. Can everyone see the advancing equity information? So first, Laura sends her regrets. She really wished she could have been here and presented a fresh presentation, but not possible. But a few things that she mentioned that we'll highlight again. One is this Diversity and Equity, Advancing Equity Award, which you are welcome to apply for. And she wanted me to stress that really any work that you're doing as a field station, which is disseminating materials, using, rearranging, or creating new infrastructure to facilitate really inclusion of any sort with any kind of special needs that users might have. And it might even be an approach pedagogically where you're trying new things to target different groups. So this diversity award is something that we're really excited about, especially getting to learn more about what stations are doing, which is pretty exciting to see what direction stations are taking in this area. And the next thing also that Laura mentioned was the virtual field, which is definitely something to check out, which is thevirtualfield.org. And there you can actually see stations presenting what they have in their ecosystem. And there's a lot of curriculum materials available for free once you sign up to be part of the virtual field. One group, particularly the freshwater habitats group, wanted to send a special invitation, knowing that there are some groups on the call that are representing lakes and other freshwater habitats, that you are welcome to join this group. So you can scan the code here, and I can also give more information to you after the meeting if you're interested in joining the freshwater habitats group of the virtual field. And again, the virtual field is a partnership with OBFS, which is really during COVID, it was funded to create events when folks couldn't go into the field. So stations created videos and ways of documenting what's happening at their stations so it could be presented online and shared with audiences that way, because travel was not possible. Okay, so are there any questions at this point? It's a lot of information. I'm gonna talk about the International Committee next. And some of our projects and programs that might be of interest. Feel free at any point to also post a question in the chat. I'm a little behind on checking the chats, but one of my co-hosts can interrupt me with any questions that come up there if you want to throw one in. Okay, and for the sake of time, I think we're still in good shape. We started a little bit late, so we're still doing fine. So I'm going to go ahead and talk now about the International Committee, which is how we got to here today. And I am co-chair of that committee. David Manelli sends his respects. He's based in Canada. And again, there's a 6-hour difference, so it's 4:30 in the morning there, and could not be with us. But I'm going to represent. But either of us are accessible anytime for you to reach out to. So let me keep going. So Natalie and Regis and Don talked a little bit about why they joined OBFS, and every station has its own reason. When you're just starting up, it's a great place to see what other stations have done. It's a good place to build a support system, find mentors, collaborators, also expanding your own research, and really finding others with similar missions and goals internationally around sustainability and the environment. And also the resources we have. Laura mentioned we are revamping the website, which will make a lot of resources more easily available. If you've clicked around the website, you might have noticed it's not the best interface right now. So we're working on that. We know it's a challenge, and it is being redesigned with international stations in mind, knowing that we're not just US based, which has been an obvious bias when you look at the map that Laura showed. We have some like 400 stations in the US, and we know that there are some 1,300 internationally. So our purpose as the International Committee is to serve as the voice for international field stations, and really, again, focusing on research, outreach, education initiatives, really trying to hear what the needs are of the community. And this actual meeting came from one of those needs, is that we need to grow our membership and our networks so we can understand what's happening all around the world. And those of us who work at field stations know that there's an estimated 1,200 out there. So it's a lot of voices that could really be helping us all do better at what we do every day. So what do we do? Every month, the International Committee has a meeting the first Friday of the month, and everyone is always invited. We host virtual cafes, which I'll talk a bit more about. There's a matching program, the regional meeting like here, and we have an annual face-to-face meeting as well. So what's this virtual cafe? In May, actually, David's going to be presenting from McGill University. He's in Canada, about the Galt Nature Reserve. And I think what he's mostly going to be talking about, they host tens of thousands of visitors every year, and how they are able to manage that with their research priorities. We do post these virtual cafes at the OBFS YouTube channel. So feel free to go there, and you can see what some of those conversations are about. In November, Don did a talk about what it is to have a field station in a national park and some of those challenges. So these come up all the time, and is certainly a vehicle. If there's a topic you want to explore more deeply, we can organize a cafe around that topic and invite special guests or speakers. So we do try to keep things active every couple of months that there's an event. So the matching program, this is something where David and I work with Jennifer G., who's at UC, the University of California, Riverside. And the three of us are coordinating an effort that has really been exciting. Some of you on the call, I think, are already joining with that initiative. And that initiative is to bring 2 or more stations together to achieve a common goal. Very flexible, collaborate on research, develop a mentor relationship, whatever you want. And there is some financing available for these initiatives. So these are the current groups, and you'll see some familiar faces. We have the yellow group that Natalie is part of. and they're looking at how their work is focused on biodiversity and natural areas across the globe, finding ways of sharing how field stations are targeting those topics. Another group here, the green group, and of course I've got it hidden for me, but the green group, Canada, France, and the US, Regis is part of this group. And that's really to look at how social media can be better leveraged by field stations. I'm giving a very high level about these projects, but this just gives you a sense of what can come out of the matching program. And then my field station in Mexico was interested in doing an outreach project, and we're partnered with, again, familiar faces, Jen G, Lara, the president, and Kim, who's in Barbados. And we are looking at biomimicry, and my two team members from CCHAS, Gabby and Ro, are in the picture too, and very involved in how we do outreach that targets biomimicry. Lara's research focus is on biomimicry, so we're excited to bring her research focus into our work. So these are the kinds of things that can happen through the matching program. One thing, we're doing this all in English, and I know that is not always the easiest route to go. We're dealing with a lot of languages between Europe and Africa, so we went with English, but with the Latin America conference, we did do it bilingually in Spanish and in English. So there was a translation challenge that we're learning how to really work with better. And time zones are a challenge, as you also saw this morning. We're in multiple time zones, and that's not always easy to juggle, depending on who you are collaborating with. So anyway, a few things that we are encouraging groups that join this project to do, everything from an academic paper to just sharing what you've experienced with the other field stations at our meetings or at a virtual cafe even. So really a lot of diversity in what the matching program can bring to the fore. And so we're here today at this regional meeting, the first of its kind, to kind of let other people know about us and hear your voices, which we'll spend time on as you present your stations next. And I just wanted to highlight again all these activities. Some of them are free and open to everyone. Some do require membership. So the matching program is members only, but the regional meetings are free and open, as you're experiencing today. And we do have our face-to-face annual meeting, and there we do have competitive travel awards. And Laura did mention an exchange program where if you just want to visit another station and see what they're doing close up, we do fund some of those activities as well. And I believe that's members only. Okay, so now you've heard from OBFS and at least a little bit about our stations. So now we're going to turn the floor over to all of you and hear about your stations. So we've got this order, and I'm going to be the timekeeper because we're actually not doing too badly. Not everyone on this list is going to be able to present today. But I'm going to, after 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I'm going to ring this bell. Hopefully it's not too obnoxious. And that'll be your sign that you have 30 seconds left. And then I'll get a little louder once we get to the 3-minute point. So everyone will have 3 minutes to talk about their station. And if you can, whoever's presenting for your station, if you can open your presentation locally, we have made it so that you can share when it's your turn. So it'll probably take a little time transitioning between talks, but I'll call your name by station. And I know there's been some presenter changeover, so I'm just gonna stick with the name of the station. And hopefully that is gonna work for everybody. Is there anything in the chat that I should be aware of? Because I have not been looking at the chat. We're all good?
No, right. I've put the link as a reminder in the chat for people who want to prepare the slide.
Great. Because yeah, we have all the slides available in the folder. And that will stay available to everyone. And I will put the host slides in the folder after we're all finished. So you'll be able to access what we've talked about today about our programming. Great, we still have a few folks joining us. So, all right. Without further ado then, can All Out Africa Marine Research Center from Mozambique, I think that's actually Jennifer Keeping. If you want to hop on and share your slide, and just make sure this will be a good test. Everyone should be able to just share their slide. Is the station ready?
Hello, everyone. Hi,
Great.
yes, I'm here. Can you all hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Great. Now, I
Yes,
do
indeed.
apologize. I actually don't have any slides to share at the moment. I'll have to upload them afterwards. So you'll just have to put up, sorry, with my face for 3 minutes, if that's all right. But I cover, so I'll just 3 minutes, which I guess has started now, huh? And my internet connection is unstable, so hopefully you can all hear me throughout. So I'm Jenny Keeping. Hello, I'm coming at you from Tofu in Mozambique. So I run the All Out Africa Marine Research Project here, which is primarily a citizen science project, although I also supervise and support masters and PhD students. In any type of marine research, really. We operate primarily in the Indian Ocean, in this Inhambane region of Mozambique, but we also have an estuarine and brackish region just around the corner with kind of a seagrass, very shallow water environment as well. We've been operating since 2004 in this region. So as you can imagine, we have lots and lots of sightings and observational data collected by our wonderful citizen scientists that come every single month, that then we train and then come out on the boats and collect data for us. So we have many megafauna species in this region, such as whale sharks and mantas and critically endangered guitarfish and stingrays and all sorts of things in this region that we still see in abundance, which we're incredibly lucky for. And our primary research priorities and community relations really lie in the seasonal trends in abundances in each of these different species. And yeah, we have years of data on the abundance on all of these guys. So our community relations are primarily, sorry, quad bike in the background. So our community relations, so we do have Mozambican interns. We work with the local university here down in Maputo called Eduardo Mondlane, and the Natural History Museum down in Maputo too. So we hope, since COVID, it's been a little bit quieter, but all of our research is in collaboration with those institutes, and our local biologists then are coming from Maputo to come and work with us up here. Is that 1 minute to go? Or maybe
30
it's
seconds.
over. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, our main challenges are definitely the remoteness of this region, of course. We're an 8-hour drive from South Africa, so we do manage to get a fair amount of equipment up here. But Tofu itself is quite a developed little town. So certainly accessibility is probably the main challenge, but it's also what makes it so special up here. So thank you so much for inviting us along to this event. I really look forward to hearing everybody else's research and their field stations, and I'm really keen to establish any possible collaborations as well. So thanks for listening. Sorry, I had no slides.
All good. The next station on our list is coming from Cameroon. Hopefully I'm pronouncing everything correctly. Boamir Field Station. Is anyone ready to jump on to present? I'll give folks a few seconds to identify themselves, because I think we have some folks who couldn't make it today, but we didn't have time to really sort through everything. So if no one is here from Bohemia, we will mark it. And if someone does show up, we'll come back to it. Okay, no one? Okay, so the next is coming from Madagascar, the Center of Research, Polyvalent de Maromizaha. Great. And who is presenting?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Valeria Torti, and I'm from the University of Turin in Italy, sorry. But I'm here actually to represent the Maromiza Multipurpose Center. Maromiza is a rainforest located in northeastern Madagascar. And the research center that is represented here is inside the Maromiza New Protected Area. It's something 1 hour walk from the nearest village. Okay. So the Maromiza New Protected Area has been officially declared in 2015 by the ministry, and it's mainly characterized by a primary dense rainforest, montane rainforest, and but we also have two other habitat types that could be classified. We have a secondary rainforest that is the result of the past anthropic impacts in the area, and we have the so-called Savuka in Malagasy, that is an area that has recently been impacted by slash and burn agriculture, in which we are observing forest regeneration. So the main challenge, so we are mainly interested in conservation biology. So our main topic for research is conservation research. And but we are also but our center has become pivotal for a lot of different activities that are targeting conservation, but also rural development, capacity building, education from children to students from the universities. And so we are developing a lot of different actions inside the center. We are mainly a group from primatologists, so from the University of Turin, but also from the Madagascar. And so we are leading the long-term research on the lemur population in the new protected area. And we are developing faunistic and floristic censuses. And in the recent years, we are also starting to make more attention on the ecosystem. So we are leading surveys, we are doing patrolling of the forest boundaries, and we are also leading a project for unsupervised surveys, like, for example, with passive acoustic monitoring or camera tracking. So the involvement of the community is very important in the area, because there is a co-management by all the actors in the area, and all the people involved in the area are from the local communities. We have 10 villages around the NAP. The main challenges, as I think for everyone, are funding. So especially after the COVID pandemics, we have some problems coming from remoteness. So inside the forest, it's very difficult to have networking with other areas also. And so the reasons for participate here are we would like to understand what's happening around and what are our strengths and weaknesses. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I know the 3 minutes goes fast, but we want to hear from everyone. And the next speaker is coming from Spain, from the Doñana Biological Reserve. Ivan, are you presenting?
Yes.
Okay, great. Go for it.
Can you see it now?
Yep.
Do you see it?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for having us. My name is Ivan Gomez, and I'm presenting Doñana Biological Station. We are a long-term station. We've been operating since the 1960s in southern Spain. And the reason why it is important is a UNESCO site, and it's a Ramsar site. And it's important, as you can see, it's an ecosystem that is mostly composed of a large marsh and an extensive network of ponds and temporary wetlands. It also has Mediterranean shrubland and patches of pine and oak forests. it sort of funnels most or a large fraction of the bird migration from Western Europe before migrating to Africa. And it also harbors a lot of mammal diversity, including the Iberian lynx, which is critically endangered, and a lot of amphibian species, which are also critically endangered. So it's part of the national park, Doñana National Park. And I think it could be relevant for the network because there's also an ongoing monitoring program that accumulates data on a set of different organismal communities, from plants to birds to mammals. And those data are publicly available upon request. And also the most important threat to the area is the most pressing problem is the conservation of wetlands, because there's a very big problem of groundwater overexploitation that is also having intensified or exacerbated by global climate change. So since the 1980s, we've basically lost almost 2/3 of the temporary ponds that were like the hallmark of this area. Other than that, I think our main challenge is to broaden our international visibility, and joining OBFS should take care of that. And also secure stable funding for these ongoing monitoring programs, because funding for specific projects, it's easier, but to convince authorities to fund long-term programs is, as you probably know, also a bit of a challenge. So it's a field station that is also connected to a main scientific institute with the same name, Doñana Biological Station, as part of the CSIC, which is a kind of the Spanish equivalent to the CNRS. Thank you.
Great, thanks. I only had a jingle at once.
There you go.
I don't know if you heard it though. All right, on to Belgium, Nathalie. Nathalie, you're on mute. Do you want me to unmute you?
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I just click it again. My bad. They're still muted. Okay, I'm not touching anything. Okay, terrific. I'm gonna hit start now.
All right. So I'm representing here the field research station of the University of Hasselt, which is located in near the border of the national park Hoge Kempen, which is until now still the only national park of the Flanders region. We do belong to a university, as you heard, so the main research institute that is concerned here is the Center for Environmental Sciences, but that is a really interdisciplinary center, which has biologists, chemists, but also environmental economics and environmental law. So we try to do integrated research in the center. So we are located at the national park, as I mentioned, which has 6 big habitats, which is a lot for being a protected area in a very urbanized setting. And of course, it has the typical forest, deciduous and evergreen, but also the shrubland, which is called the heathlands, which is I guess the main natural landscape that is only now represented, very fragmented, but is only represented in part of Western Europe. I guess the research priorities at the moment are, if I have to make it under one umbrella, is investigating the impact of human disturbances on ecosystems and biodiversity. For instance, we do have a lot of researchers which are busy with the effects of climate change on above and below ground biodiversity under very controlled in very controlled experiments, but also field experiments. We do have some research going on human-wildlife interactions, where we focus on the effects of human disturbance on wildlife, but also vice versa. So the effects of wildlife on humans, not necessarily disturbance. Then there is some community engagement. We have some programs specifically designed on the research we do, for instance, with interactive games. Oh, okay, let me go to. So we do have citizen science and some even, which was not mentioned by others yet, art and science. So where we try to involve some artists in our programs. The main challenges, like for most of the field stations, are the shortage of staff, a bit remoteness. However, can you talk in Belgium about remoteness? And then funding for long-term research monitoring, because we really want to emphasize on that. We are applying for research money for that, but I'll stop.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Natalie. So next up is coming from South Africa, Grupos Environmental Center.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Natalie, can you stop sharing?
Yes.
Great.
Hi. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Perfect. Hi everyone, I'm Paula Strauss and I'm the research coordinator at the Grupos Foundation. I hope that's not working. Sorry. I represent the Grupos Environmental Center that was established in 2019. And the Grupos Foundation is a non-profit organization of Gansbaai. We're situated about an hour's drive away from the southern tip of Africa, and so we're sitting in this hyper-diverse Cape touristic region. Right. Our facilities are located on Grupos Private Nature Reserve. This is a massive reserve. It's about 3,500 hectares. We've got predominantly fynbos and southern coastal forests, so sandstone, limestone, and strandveld fynbos, and Afromontane and milkweed forests within walking distance of our facility. Not sure if I should say this, we've got 4 self-catering accommodation units, serving 51 beds. These are ideal for small research groups and large student groups or school groups. And we have about 30 minutes drive from the closest communities in the coastal town of Gansbaai. Our research and conservation started in 1997 with the vegetation surveys, and to date includes mammals through camera traps, insects, mosses, and lichens. The last of these were quite recent, and they'll be used as baseline information for continual monitoring. To date, we've documented more than 900 plant species on Grupos, 24 mammals, and 220 insect families, to name a few. The reserve also forms part of the Walker Bay Fynbos Conservancy. That's a 22,700 hectare landscape conservation and restoration initiative, where we engage with local landowners. We've also facilitated the development of a protected area network within the Conservancy that ensures that our landscapes are conserved in perpetuity. With fynbos as a fire-driven ecosystem, we've been monitoring our fynbos recovery, as well as facilitated external research around fynbos ecology. Our southern coastal forests also has various different research projects, including arthropod surveys, adaptive factors, paleoecology, and hopefully soon carbon dating for our milkweed trees. We're also interested in figuring out how to include climate change in our research priorities. We've been engaging with local universities and for both graduate training courses and various postgraduate research projects for the last couple of years. For community, our engagement is mostly with research groups, but we also have environmental education programs through the Grupos Foundation, and have youth camps that visit for guided walks. Our challenges are funding. We're mostly private and donor funding, but we want to expand our funding portfolio and build capacity, infrastructure, and additional research projects. We're not currently registered as a biological field station, but we're interested in how to get this process underway, and hopefully through this we'll access to a global research network. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paula.
I'm sharing.
Hmm?
Sorry.
No problem. If you can stop sharing, the next step is from Kenya, the Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute, Kisumu Center. Is someone here ready to go to talk about the Kisumu Center? Okay, we can come back to that one. How about the KM? Oh, yes?
We have someone on, maybe he's not getting us, but he's on board. If he cannot present, maybe we can take the next station and then I will come back with the Kisumu station.
Okay, so the next station is going to be the KMFRI Aquaculture Center, Sagana. Mercy, are you presenting? Oh, I thought so. Is anyone from Sagana?
I think you go to the next. I'm not seeing somebody from Sagana on board.
Okay. Well, the next one is Kisi. And then we had Lake Turkana Station. Does anyone from the network want to go ahead and jump in? And Nevasha is the last one on the list that we had registered.
I'm available from Lake Turkana on behalf of the station coordinator.
Okay.
I just have a suggestion, Rhonda. Could you please just take 30 seconds to...
Wait 1 second. There's some, can someone give her...
Hello.
Hi, Mercy. Can you wait 1 second? Sorry, Regis, what were you saying?
Just to show to the...
Hello.
Mercy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, can you just give us 1 second? We've got an issue to talk through real quick.
Yeah, just to show the schedule for people to be ready. I don't know.
Sure. It's in the agenda that everyone should have gotten, but let's
okay.
You want to copy and paste it into the chat, Regis, and we can let Mercy go ahead and get started?
Yep.
Great. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Mercy Chepkirui and I'm going to present on behalf of Dr. Paul Orina. This is Kemfree Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute, Kenya Aquaculture Center, and we are located in Nyanza region, Kisii County, Kenya. So ecosystem Kegati is located 9 kilometers east of Kisii town. That's along Kisii-Nairobi Highway, approximately 300 kilometers southwest of Nairobi. And the region is located within upland equatorial climate extending to Congo. Then our research priorities are mainly aquaculture production, targeting food security and nutrition. We also do some aspects of limnology and collaborations, like we had our previous projects from PPSRC, Conservation International, and CI. We also do some aspects of ecosystem conservation. And why we do this is to provide scientific data for sustainable exploitation, management, and conservation of aquaculture resources, and also to provide information and technologies to improve aquaculture production. Then our community engagement is mainly aquaculture production for food security and nutrition. We also do post-harvest management measures, extension, and consultancy through seminars, workshops, and conferences. Then our main challenges in our station are inadequate research fundings. We also have challenge with infrastructures and inadequate laboratory equipment and personnel. And the reason for participating in this event mainly is to network with scientists across the globe and to seek for any possible collaboration for research funding opportunities. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mercy. So in the chat, the agenda was posted, or a link to the agenda. Is there anyone else from a KMFRI not sure if you pronounce it Kimfrey or group, but who wants to present?
Yes, we are there.
Okay, yes. Mercy, can you stop sharing your screen? So the next group, if they want to share a screen or just speak, that's an option.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, wonderful.
Yes, I'm Cyprian from Kemfrey, Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute, based at Baringo Station. And Baringo Station is found in Rift Valley, Kenyan Rift Valley. It's on the eastern side of the Rift Valley. And basically, it was established in 1990 to address research needs at Lake Baringo, which has been described to be around 130 kilometers squared. But currently, because of rising water levels in the Rift Valley lakes, it's about 200 kilometers squared. And the lake, because of diversity, it was declared a Ramsar site in 2002. However, despite being a Ramsar site, there is immense pressure on the ecosystem. That's why bringing in question the sustainability of the biodiversity in that lake because of various activities in the catchment as well as in the basin. And our research priorities on that lake are on fisheries, where we look at especially fisheries stock assessment, resource conservation, and we have established demarcated grounds that are not supposed to be fished. We also carry out research on limnology, where we look at water quality and the various biodiversity in the aquatic ecosystem. And we do this, I will not wish to repeat this because the presenter from Gati on aquaculture had also highlighted this to provide quality scientific data for sustainable exploitation of this resource to contribute to blue economy. And we engage communities on resource conservation, where we enlighten them on the importance of areas that are supposed to be not to be fished. We also disseminate our research findings by holding community sensitization workshops. We also carry out research on post-harvest interventions to maintain the value of what we harvest from the resource. And this is also done through sensitization workshops. The main challenge, as had been said by many presenters or other stations, is low funding. We also have limited skill in some areas, for example, geology, to understand what is happening beneath the water so that we contribute adequately to blue economy. We also have infrastructure challenges, but most importantly, how we got into this or how we entered here was to, if we can get possibility of establishing networks with scientists across the globe. This has also been reported earlier on. And also find research funding opportunities. Thank you.
Oh, you're perfect. Well done. Okay, thank you. Is there, we've got one presenter to add to the end. Is there anyone else from the Kimfrey group who wants to go, KMFRI? Someone needs to correct me if I'm saying it wrong.
Yeah, I can go on and present the Kisumu Center.
Terrific. And can you tell me do you use the acronym or does you say KMFRI? Is it Kimfrey or KM?
We say Kimfrey.
Kimfrey. Okay, thank you. We can see your screen.
Okay, thank you. The Kisumu Center is located on the most eastern tip of Lake Victoria. And Lake Victoria is the largest lake in Africa by surface areas. It is a significant source of livelihood and a regulator of climate in the region. Our main areas of research cover fisheries, then limnology and water environment, aquaculture, socioeconomics, and natural products, which includes technologies that contribute to value addition.
Sorry, to interrupt you 1 second. Can you, there's a screen on top that I'm seeing. Is everyone else seeing it as well? Can you just click done on the sharing? There we go. Now we can see your screen.
The screen share shown is not from the presenter, it's from Naivasha, and he's presenting on Kisumu.
Oh, okay. So we need to stop that screen share and get the right one.
Yeah, maybe the person from Naivasha should stop sharing their screen.
Oh, here we go. I can actually switch it, I think. Is this the correct one? Here we go. Yes. This is
see the...
Great. Okay.
That is not the correct one, madam.
This is not? Okay.
Yes.
Let me share again.
Okay.
Are you able to see my screen?
We have it, yes.
Yes, great.
Okay, let me proceed. I was already on the slide 2, and I was saying the programs that we do. It's fisheries research, the limnology, aquaculture, socioeconomics, and natural products. Of late, climate change has become significant because the lake is changing at a rapid rate, and we need to catch up in terms of climate change research. And we are also facing new challenges. Fish are dying like never before. And we need to explain that is a new challenge that is coming up for us. We do community engagement, and this is mostly on areas of pollution. And we also engage the fish farmers who are doing cage culture in the lake. And we try to disseminate information through various platforms. The main challenge we face is inadequate technical capacity, that is both personnel and equipment. The equipment we mostly is from the Western world, and when it requires servicing, we don't have capacity to service the equipment locally, and we have to ship those equipment. Yeah, and limited funding. We have transboundary challenges because the lake is shared between 3 countries. The reason why we are here is to share what we do and also network with other organizations doing similar work and share experiences. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for the technical glitch there. Okay, so now we've heard from Kisumu and Sagana. Is there anyone else from the ChemFree group who wants to present? We've also, I know we haven't hit all 5.
Yeah, I can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Which station?
Turkana.
Turkana. Great, thank you. You should be able to share your screen. Great. Okay.
Is it on?
Yes, I'll go ahead and start the timer now. Thanks.
All right. The Lake Turkana station is located in Lodwar, Turkana County, which is the northwestern part of Kenya. And it studies the Lake Turkana and Lake Turkana Basin. Lake Turkana is a shallow Great Rift Valley lake, which is the largest permanent desert and alkaline lake in the world. Sorry, just a minute. On the ecosystem, the lake water comes from river inflows, and all the water loss in the lake comes from evaporation. It is an arid and semi-arid land. And since the year 1997, the lake has been listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is an important bird area with over 350 native and migratory bird species. And it has the world's largest remaining population of the Nile crocodile. The lake has 3 national parks, which provide potential for tourism. And it is a major recreation area, especially for youth, swimming, sport fishing, and other marine sports. Fishing on the lake is still, however, a subsistence activity and does not contribute much to the national economy, meaning that it's still an area that needs to be worked on. The fishery, together with agropastoralism, support livelihoods of about 300,000 people in the lake basin from 6 main tribal groups. Threats to the lake ecosystem include hydroelectric power and irrigation, obstruction of water upstream, and this has caused habitat degradation, biodiversity loss, pollution, and tribal conflicts. Climate change, agriculture, forest clearing, and potential of development of oil resources are also part of the threats to the lake's ecosystem. The Lake Turkana Research Station is a facility of Kenya Marine Fisheries Research Institute, KEMFRI, and the facility's mandate includes the collecting of multidisciplinary and collaborative research on fish ecology, population dynamics, stock assessment, and general aquatic ecology. The facility also does collect and disseminate scientific information on fisheries and aquatic resources related to natural products, studying chemical and physical processes that affect productivity of the lake, monitoring water quality and pollution in the lake, and carrying out socioeconomic research. Our challenges include limited access to research funding and lack of proper equipment for research. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm excited by all the fresh water. And all of the activities that are happening are super interesting. Is there anyone else from KEMFRI that I've missed who wants to speak? Okay. I don't want to miss anybody. Okay, so I'm going to move on then. Unless there's someone that I've missed, we can come back, send me a message on the chat. But the next up then is going to be number 12, from Uganda, the Makerere University Biological Field Station. Is someone here to present from there?
Yes.
Wonderful, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Patrick Omeja. I'm one of the co-directors of the field station. So Makerere field station is under the College of Agriculture and Environment and the Makerere main campus. The field station is located at the foothills of Rwenzori Mountains and in Kibale National Park, which is a 975 square kilometer park. The park has a variety of habitats. We have the old growth forests, papyrus swamps, rivers, and then the crater lakes. Even within the forest itself, we have the log forest, the natural forest, the regenerating forest, and then there is another section which is a carbon offsetting planted area of the park. And then there's also an agricultural field. So all these areas offer good opportunities for research. And then the forest itself is biologically diverse. It has over 120 species of mammals documented, including 13 primate species, some of which are chimps and red calabash monkeys that are endangered. And then we have elephants and then antelopes. And in terms of bird species, there are around 370 species documented in this forest, including some 23 that are endemic to the Albertine Rift region. So in the research beams fall under ecology, biodiversity, socioeconomics, and then impact of development and policies. In ecology, we are looking at wildlife migrations, mostly elephants. Those are the ones that move long areas between Kibale and Congo. Then primate population distribution and dynamics. We do ecophenology, impact, and then impacts of invasive species. The acanthus and lantana camara are the major invasive species that is suppressing regeneration. Then we are also looking at climate change and climate change impacts. Then we also have effects of wildfires and then disease. And then in terms of diversity, we do communities interaction with the wildlife, then encroachment and settlement impacts. For problems, the major problems of this is the funding gap that everyone mentioned, then the human-wildlife conflict, and then the low numbers of researchers recently compounded the effect of COVID. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. You're perfect timing. Okay, if you can stop sharing, then we'll go on to Malawi. The Monkey Bay Capture Fisheries Research Station is up next. Is anyone here to represent the Monkey Bay? Did they make it?
I think it was already.
How to share my screen? It says the file is not supported. I don't know why. So maybe I'll just speak.
Okay. You want to try one more time?
But I did upload it on the Google Drive. If anybody can access it from there.
I can access it. I see it. Yes. All right, I'll go ahead and share my screen, and then you can tell me when to move forward. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Can everyone see? Can everyone see that? Is this the right one?
Yes.
Terrific.
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. All right, I'll go ahead and start the timer.
Yeah, thank you so much. So my name is Maxon Gochera from Malawi. And our research station is located on the shores of Lake Malawi at the southern end of the lake. This station was established in 1968, and mostly its focus was to monitor the emerging, capture fisheries in the southern region. Next, please. So in terms of the ecosystem, this is Lake Malawi, and it's one of the African, Great Lakes on the Rift Valley. It's one of the deepest lakes, in the world, and it has over 800 fish species. The lake is bordered by Mozambique, Tanzania, and Malawi, having, most of the watershed. It was declared a World Heritage Site in 1984 by UNESCO, and some of the threats for this lake include overfishing, habitat degradation, deforestation, pollution, and climate change. In terms of our research priorities, it's mostly fisheries monitoring and the stock assessment, so that we can inform management on how many fishers we can allow to fish in the lake. We also conduct ecological studies, including water quality, and then studies that aimed at improving post-harvest fish losses. We do this mostly because we want to provide information that is necessary for sustainable conservation and management of the fisheries, and also to provide information on technologies that would inform our investors in the sector. In terms of community engagement, we use co-management as a tool for fisheries management, and this involves the local communities. But we are also implementing the ecosystem approach to fisheries management, which is also another that involves the communities. And we also assess most of the ecosystem use also including the communities. Next, please. In terms of our challenges, is capacity, both in human as well as in infrastructure, lack of proper equipment, as everybody else has indicated. And also because, the lake is bordered by 3 countries, we lack, harmonized protocols for monitoring of the fish. I was remaining with the last one, the reasons why we, came to this forum, but it's okay, everybody can see.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll have time to really dive into that in our breakout rooms after the break. Okay, terrific. So next up is from Uganda, the National Fisheries Resources Research Institute. Is someone ready to go from there? Is anyone, am I missing anybody? I'm not seeing anybody. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna move on then. We can come back to that if I'm moving too fast. But so Regis, you'll go next to represent Pimpon.
Yeah. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I manage the Pimpon Biological Field Station that belongs to the Rennes University in the northwest of France. So I've put a little map. It's quite easy to find on the map. The station has been created and established a little bit more than 50 years ago in the middle of the largest forest in the northwest of France. So it's only 10,000 hectares for people who come from big forest, but in France it's quite huge. And we manage 18 hectares of natural habitats that are differently forest, dry moor, wetlands, and ponds. We have 40 people working on site, and we have hosting activity that is quite honest. We have 2 research teams. One work on ecology, on multiple thematics, soil biodiversity, endangered species. And we have a specificity that we host an ethology research team who work on communication and human and animal behavior. And we have about 30 or 40 monkeys in the station. And about our community engagement, we make a lot of outreach for different people, public at large and schools. We have local partnerships where we put scientific skills for the territory, and we work on citizen sciences too. And for me, the main challenges for the station is the strategic development, and we have old infrastructures that need to find some money and fundraising. We work on sustainability, and our university project is based on the ecological transition. So we need to be demonstrator. And one of the main challenges is to promote the value of field station, because people don't know how important are the field stations for teaching or for research. And the reasons for participating are multiple. One of the main is contributing to a collective dynamic and improving a regional influence, because international committee regroup people out of the United States continent, American continent. So that's it.
Thank you. And stop sharing, and we'll move on to Eswatini, the Savannah Research Center.
And then share screen.
Can you
Hello.
share? Hi, can you share your presentation?
I'll try.
I know I saw it.
Share it from the side.
Do you want me to open it? I can share for you.
Yes, yes, please.
Okay, it's the Savannah Research Center. Yes, I've got it. Okay, give me 1 minute. And I will start to share. Okay. Can you see it?
I think it's still coming. Yes.
Is that working?
Thank you. So
Okay.
Yes, thank you so
Great.
much. So good day, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good day, everyone. My name is Simelane Pumlile from the Savannah Research Center in Eswatini. We are located in the northeastern part of Eswatini, along the Maputo-land, Pondoland biodiversity hotspot. So the Savannah Research Center is a collaboration of the University of Florida, the University of Eswatini, All Out Africa, and the Organization for Tropical Studies. So it came into existence in 2014, but we were mobile before. We started collecting our biodiversity data. We started doing our biodiversity surveys in 2004. So our main focus as the Savannah Research Center is biodiversity research, monitoring, and conservation. And we focus on 5 different taxa, which are small mammals, large mammals, bats, birds, and vegetation. So we have collected tons of data on these taxas for over 15 years, close to 19 years now, to investigate the changes over time on all the 5 taxa. We also host international and national researchers and study abroad groups and train them in collecting high quality data and also data analysis. So my main reason of joining the meeting is to collaborate with other biological field stations and hearing more about their work, and to learn how to fully support and improve research in my own field station. So challenges that we have are limited funds. I think this is almost everywhere. And also we have a problem with poachers in our field station. They steal a lot of our equipment in the field. And also recently we've been hit very badly by floods. So that's all from me. Thank you so much.
Terrific. Thank you so much. I didn't have to ring the bell at all. Okay, so let me escape out of here. And then the next step is from France, the Theoretical and Experimental Ecology Station. Are you ready, Camille?
Yes, I am. If I could just get this on full screen.
All right.
Uh-oh. There we go. Okay.
We're not seeing it, actually. Oh, there we go. Okay, good.
Really?
No, you're good.
I don't.
You're good. You're good. It works.
Okay, it's on. I'm trying to get it just on full screen so you can see. Great. So thank you very much. Just get to go back. Sorry, I don't know why my computer does not like your this interface for some reason. Okay, so I'm calling to you from the Pyrenees in France, and first thing is that our field station is not so much, we don't have a lot of land that we actually manage. So the field station is right here, this set of buildings down in the corner, but we are located within a large area that's relatively undisturbed. So a lot of national parks, regional parks, and even the land that is managed is a lot of its traditional management, so fairly low intensity. We've got 18 permanent researchers and about 12 permanent technicians. A lot of the work is actually work done within the experimental structures, and we have a couple of unique ones that actually globally unique, which are these cages that are set up with corridors, either for terrestrial systems or for aquatic systems, where you can actually set up a metapopulation and manipulate the dynamics of that metapopulation. So connect different levels, connect and disconnect different populations to see how that impacts the overall stability or functioning of the metapopulation level. A lot of the research work is impacts of global change. Climate change is a very heavy theme, but also habitat fragmentation, biodiversity loss, the links between biodiversity change and species interactions, community interactions, ecosystem functioning. And because we are in a managed area, I mean, all of Europe to an American is fairly heavily managed. We're moving into looking at sustainability of coupled ecological social systems. And I'm hoping eventually moving towards really being able to help the region to develop in a ecologically sound way. We do have some community engagement. I think we can be doing a lot more. That's one thing that we're hoping to learn. So we do some advising with the local national parks and natural areas. I'd like to expand that. We do have teaching with students coming down from Toulouse, which is about an hour and a half away, to have courses. And we also have our own PhD students that we teach courses to. And of course, there's the usual media engagement and participation in public forum. Our real challenges are that we're not isolated in the sense that we're surrounded by lots of villages and towns, but in terms of an intellectual academic atmosphere, it's relatively isolated from universities and other research centers. I'd like to figure out ways of improving that so that we don't have such a small town effect in our station. So that's one thing I'm hoping for with being part of the organization of biological field stations, is just to help our people feel more connected with the broader community. And I think, the researchers tend to go to a lot of conferences, but the technicians, our permanent technicians, I think have a reduced opportunities for this kind of activity. So I'm really excited about this. We have an underuse of facilities. We have these fabulous facilities. And really, if you look at it, it's only about at 50% capacity. You can't have it at 100% because, just timing multiple projects is too difficult. But it would be nice to think of ways of getting that up. We don't have enough funding. we're not, am I, this is going to,
I don't know if you can hear me.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So I will just quit there.
Thank you. No, I know we need more time, but we've got a lot to get to. And I'm actually up next and I'm going to start my timer. So you guys, I'll hopefully be keeping things on track here. We're actually in good shape. Are you guys seeing the Kyoja website screen?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. So I am representing the Chioggia Field Station, which is based in the Venetian Lagoon here in Italy. I actually have been there several times, but am truly being representative right now. So a little bit about the Chioggia Station. The ecosystem is coastal wetlands, salt marshes, artificial habitats, sandy shores, the reefs. This is, the Venetian Lagoon. So they have several projects going on, a lot with the fisheries, and they work very closely. There are several projects going on with the local fishermen and looking at some introduced crabs. The blue crab versus the green crab is, I know, a big focus of some of the courses that are being taught there. Really, it's monitoring the marine and coastal biodiversity in the lagoon. Ecosystem functions and services is a big focus of the research. As I mentioned, the fisheries and their sustainability is a big focus there. Marine conservation and restoration, including nature-based solutions. That biomimicry component is, they have some students working on biomimicry initiatives and products. For community engagement, and this is where I've been working a little bit or starting to work with them, is they do have a museum on site. And with COVID, it was closed, but it's been reopening, and they do an annual science day where they're open to the public. Really working again with the local fishermen and training students and scholars are their main focus for the community. Their main challenge is really, how do we keep the lagoon resilient, marine socio-ecological systems in the face of global changes? One station mentioned increased flooding and other challenges. It's something that all stations are really facing, and how to manage those impacts, I think, is something for virtual cafes in the future, or a real focus in other meetings, is how to manage global change impacts in our ecosystems. We also, I'm at 30 seconds left. So stimulate and support intersectional cross-cutting research is still a priority and a challenge. And again, attracting visitors. So it's really getting good use, having this museum and other aspects. You know, we're on the Venetian Lagoon. We're not necessarily where people are coming to see when they're going to Venice right next door. So how do we get us as a destination? And then we've got why I'm speaking about Kyoja here is really linking and connecting other stations with the initiatives we've got. And I'm out of time, so I'm going to stop sharing now. And next up is the WITS Rural Campus station. And if someone wants to go ahead and share their screen, if you're here from the South Africa WITS Rural Campus.
Yes, I'm here, Wayne Twine. I've just had a pop-up on my computer asking me why. I'm just trying to see why it's not showing this. Maybe if you could just share, sorry, it's for some reason it's not sharing.
No problem. I can share it and just tell me when to click through.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. Are you
Thank
seeing?
you. Yeah, there's it. Yeah, I can see it. Thank you.
Great.
Morning, colleagues. My name is Wayne Twine. I'm from the University of the Witwatersrand. The WITS Rural Campus is a facility of the university situated 500 kilometers east of Johannesburg, near to the Kruger National Park in Limpopo Province, and it's located within the Kruger Canyons Biosphere Reserve. And it serves as a platform to enable the university across a range of different departments and research units to have a permanent presence in the Bushbuck Ridge region of the country. So a lot of the work that happens out of the facility is actually socioeconomic and public health research out in the rural communities. So I'll just focus on the biological station dimension of the work that the facility enables. So the ecosystem is savanna woodland. It's a 350 hectare property. We have some large herbivores such as zebras, wildebeest, and impala, and giraffes. We don't have any of the large big five on the property. In terms of the research priorities, focusing primarily on the research that happens on the facility, various dimensions of savanna ecology, both in terms of vegetation dynamics, as well as plant-herbivore interactions, fire ecology, etc. Also then resource ecology, focusing particularly on woodland regeneration, especially focusing on how we can optimize fuel wood supply, working with rural communities, and that then brings me to sustainable resource management, looking to beyond the facility itself to the surrounding rural communities, working with communities around using resources more sustainably, and that also then brings in a more socio-ecological lens to the work we do beyond the facility itself. Then it's also used as a training station for university research students, where we run field trips teaching students in research methodology. So that's another important component feeding into research. In terms of community engagement, some of our research happens out in the communal lands, and that's in partnership with communities, but then the various research programs also have their community feedback and science communication initiatives. We also have initiatives involving our university students working with high school students in joint projects. And then the facility itself engages in neighborly activities such as allowing controlled access to resources. So at the moment, we're clearing an area of land to put in solar panels, and we're allowing the community to come and harvest the fuel wood. Next slide. So our main challenges there, for us, we generate quite a lot of income through payment for the accommodation or the conference facilities, but striking this balance between income generation and affordability, no dedicated outreach staff, and then the distance from main campus, and then our reasons for participating very much like everybody else's, I think. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, and we're not too far off schedule, which is fantastic. So next up, Don, do you want to present? And then we've got one more after you. You're on mute.
Sure. Just sharing the screen here. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, well, thanks everybody. As I mentioned earlier, we run a field station based in Kruger National Park in the southern section of the Kruger National Park. It's called the SSLI campus. It's a multi-institution field station, collaboration between South African National Parks, who oversees Kruger National Park, Organization for Tropical Studies, who I work with, and local NGO and Society Trust. In terms of the ecosystems, the park itself covers a very broad range of ecosystems, over 2 million hectares, but we work primarily in the southern regions, and across quite a broad, generally characterized as semi-arid savanna system, but across quite a rainfall gradient of about 200 mils, so everything from 500 to about 700 mils of rainfall in the area. And these areas are typically classified by these sort of bushveld regions, or locally known bushvelds, so quite high density trees, savannas on the granites, which dominate the western side of the park, to the more open ecosystems on the eastern side, which are underlain by sort of more clay-rich basaltic soils. Research priorities, we focus, we do a lot of long-term monitoring in savanna systems, so ultimately looking at drivers of biodiversity change in savannas, everything from the effects of megafauna, which is a project in collaboration with Savannah Research Center, also looking at land use change gradients. We do this both with using existing ecological gradients as well as experimental setups. We also look at functional traits ecology, applications of conservation technologies, and some long-term monitoring of ephemeral water bodies in the park. In terms of community engagement, we collaborate with a number of schools in the area, running schools camp and teacher training workshops. We also try and support as many field opportunities for local institutions and universities within South Africa to facilitate them coming to the national park and working inside the national park. Then we run a range of bespoke field training programs, which are focused at mostly biodiversity skills, but also just a range of field skills, everything from 4 weeks to 6-week programs. And then just in terms of our challenges, we, being multi-part of the ecosystem and working within a national park, we have multiple jurisdictions to navigate, and obviously maintaining communication across all the different parties can be a challenge. Capacity itself, field station, although in a national park is very large, field station is rather small, and we battle to try and host many groups at the same time. And then finally, obviously, funding, as mentioned by anybody, especially operational funding, is a real challenge to maintain that trade-off between supporting local capacity development and also covering costs of the field station itself. And I think that's it.
Perfect timing. Okay, we've got one more. The E.O. Wilson Biodiversity Lab in Gorongosa National Park in Mozambique. Mark, can you share your screen?
Yeah, could you share that presentation? I think it would be easier just to avoid any mishaps from my side.
Okay, what did you, oh, here, I see it. Okay, give me 1 second. It's loading. All right, I think I can do this. Okay, is everyone seeing this now?
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Good day, everybody. I'm representing the E.O. Wilson Biodiversity Lab, which is falls under the Department of Science in the Gorongosa National Park in Mozambique. In terms of location, as you can see from the map, we in central Mozambique, and at the end of the Great African Rift. So very unique position. The park is around 4,000 square kilometers or 400,000 hectares, with a surrounding buffer zone of 600,000 hectares, in which we also participate in terms of human development programs. And then we're also managing a 275,000 hectares former hunting area, which is linked with the park through a community conservancy area. Next slide. It's a very diverse environment because we've got our highest point is over 1,800 meters on Gorongosa Mountain, rainforests and glades of Afro-montane grasslands, which then transition into Muyombo woodlands on the shoulders of the rift. And getting into the rift is more a floodplain, open savanna, floodplain grasslands, a permanent lake. And on the other side of the rift, it again goes into Muyombo woodlands. So very diverse, very high diversity, faunal diversity. We've got, for example, 52 bat species recorded for that environment. And it's a big five, so all the classic big five, well, with the exception of rhino, but the big African mammals. Next slide. So the station was started in 2014 as part of the Gorongosa Restoration Program, which got active in 2005, restoring the premier national park of Mozambique that suffered through the civil war. There's accommodation, research facilities available for external researchers. So we've got a very inviting environment, probably around 50 external researchers annually. In terms of our agreement with the government, we issue our own research permits for work in the national park. So we've issued more than 250 research permits over the last 10 years. Challenges or sustainable funding, a lack of funding by Mozambican institutions, obviously equipment servicing and repair, which is difficult from an isolated perspective. Community engagement, we do a lot of capacity building, including a full-fledged master's in conservation biology for 12 students. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone that we've missed who wants to present or speak about their station? Okay. So we're about to head off for a break because we've been at it for a little while. But before we do, in the chat, I'm going to share, oh, there was the timer. I want to share, okay, oh great, we just already sent this. Make sure you're signed up for a breakout room. So I'm gonna actually share the screen of the breakout room real quick before we depart. Can everyone see the screen of the breakout room? Is it visible? Okay, yes. So we can have up to 7 in a room. It looks like Dr. Patrick, if you can move up to the community 1, room 5, that way we can at least have 2 of you in that room. But just add your name where you want to spend your time. We'll fill up obviously the top first. We've got, we'll probably have 2 research rooms, which is great. But if you can try to fill out these top 6 rooms first before adding into the second 7 through 12. So go ahead and add your name and we'll go through how the breakout rooms will work after the break. So why don't we plan to meet back here? I know we had said 15 minutes, but are we okay coming back in around 10 minutes at 12:05? Is that gonna, hopefully we'll target 12:05. It's Central Time, Rome time. So 10 minutes from now, we'll look for you back here. We'll hit pause on the recording now, but if you've got any questions, please go ahead and let us know. Oh, thanks, Natalie. So we're back to recording. Okay, so as I'm going through this, I want to make sure everyone's got a selected, shoot, I'm trying to make it, so there we go. I just figured out how I could try to see everyone's name. So we're only going to do these 6 topics one time. So I think some of you might have signed up both, well, for 2 rooms. So everyone should only pick 1 room. And then we need to get if you're the only person in a room, we either want to get other people signed up in that room, or we want to move you to a room where there are more people.
I can also move to research. That'll be fine. No worries.
Okay, go ahead and move yourselves where you want to go as I'm talking, and or delete yourselves if you're in two places, and then we'll make sure everyone has got an assignment so we can have some real conversations about the topics of interest. Sorry? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 19, 20. So as we're talking, I think we're losing a few people, which is fine. So we're down to 20 participants. Okay.
Ronald, Katrina Klerk is still in 2 rooms, room 10 and room 6.
Camille, vous êtes également dans 2.
So Catherine, I think you want to move yourself either to room 1 fundraising or room 5 community or research 2.
Well, of course, I don't want to stay alone in a room. Anyway,
and I'm sorry, because the 2 areas you really want to talk about, obviously, we don't. That's not to say these aren't conversations you'll be able to engage with in the future, but I think for today.
So maybe I can move to improving community relationship. But
I think ties nicely to value, frankly. I think that can be, you can make some connections there.
Rhonda, maybe, do you think it could be interesting just to explain the aim of the breaking room time? Because it's not the end of the adventure, it's just the beginning.
Yes.
so that if people are interested in some topics, it would be possible to make other meetings, but just to say again, or do we do that in each room?
Yes, let me, I'm going to stop share for a minute. I'm going to go back to the host slides where I can talk a little bit more about each of the rooms and make sure that, and everyone can, of course, bring in whatever topic you really want to focus on. So here, let me go ahead and share screen. And of course, any of my co-hosts can jump in where if I need more explanation. Okay, is everyone seeing the 6 themes here? So just to highlight it, the fundraising, and you can discuss any aspect of these that you want to discuss and bring in topics that are most relevant for what you're struggling with. Make sure this breakout session works for you. I'm going to talk through what's going to happen in the session so you'll see what we're trying to get at. Is that what you want me to do, Regis? Or was there something else you wanted me to?
No, yeah, just maybe it's a way to exchange with other people, and maybe for the rules, but you wanted to make it after maybe the instructions.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Just for people to know what they will have to do.
Exactly. So, right, we organized it into 12 rooms with the idea that if a lot of people wanted to be in a topic that already had 7 people, anyone else could do. So we have 2 research rooms, which is great. So I'm going to talk through room 6, the value, as if that was the one you were going to, what's going to happen. So we have a template for every room. And within this template, you'll see there's a value, 1 promoting stations value. And when you go back to the sign up sheet, you'll see how to access these. We'll also put this in the chat. And when you go through there, you get a template related to your topic. And basically you're going to pick someone in your group to be a note taker, and they'll fill out this template. And I'll go through what this template has. Essentially, you're going to talk through challenges that you have related to this topic, how you've tried to deal with it in the past, and where OBFS and collaborations might be able to help you. So the idea is to really brainstorm together and deal with something that you are currently struggling with. And then we'll come back together at the end. So right now we're still in pretty good shape. So incorporated in this, if you have the agenda, is at 1:10, again, Rome time, we'll come back together to present. And in fact, we can take a little bit more time because we're only going to have, it looks like 3 or 4 rooms to present. So we'll have time for a real discussion, I think, if everyone's blocked out the full time for the session. And then you'll have someone, like I said, represent it. And then we also want to capture who had the conversation. So your participation will want to capture the names of everyone in the room, which you can do on the slides. So to identify, like I said, at least 2 central challenges related to your topic, any aspect of that topic. You can come up with a ton of these challenges or just focus on a few. So we'll take each challenge individually then, and then do a deep dive where you can do some solutions, like I said, what resources you need, what you've done in the past to try to deal with it, and what you discovered from that experience, and then how OBFS might be able to help you again address that. And you can talk about a lot of the topics or challenges you've identified, or just go into 1 or 2, whatever works for your group. We really want to come up with something that's going to be helpful for you, that we can also take back to OBFS and try to find resources for you or strategies to help you in this particular area. So, so that's the plan. And then we will give you about a 15-minute warning before the breakout rooms are closed. And then we'll have a 10-minute break again before each breakout room group presents the highlights of their discussion. So before you go to your rooms, let's see now where we are landing. Is there anything else, Regis or Dawn or Natalie, that you want to add to my very quick summary?
Good luck.
I think it was very clear.
So let me go back to the breakout room sign-up sheet and see where we've landed while I've been talking. Let me share this screen again. And can you copy one more time, someone, the link to the sign-up sheet in the chat? Okay, terrific. So you'll see that there's a link underneath each of these in the sign-up sheet, and that actually, if you open that up, you should be able to access the template. That's part that we want you to fill out for that room. So we should make it easy. If you can't find the template, we will check in on you in the rooms and help conversation, or likely join the conversation. So it looks like we have 4 breakout rooms. So in fundraising room 1, we've got Kim, Camille, and Laurence, and I'm gonna open. Can I do this while I'm sharing my screen? I wanted to open the breakout rooms. I don't know if one of the co-hosts can do it. So you can go ahead and select your breakout room if you want to go ahead and head over there. And one of you might want to go ahead and open the template link before you do. And then in this research room 3, research 1, room 3, we've got full house at 7 people. So I'm not going to read all of your names. You can go ahead and go there if you want to click there. And then in room 9, research 2, and I think I just labeled it research 2. So go to research 2 breakout room. 4 of you will be there. And then community 1 is going to be 3 of you there. Are there any questions, concerns?
Oops.
Okay, so the breakout room should be open. So if you want to go ahead and click join next to the room that you want to go to, you can jump over there. It looks like, oh, Thanks, Natalie. So we're recording again. So we'll have 8 minutes for each group to present their conversation. And this is pretty much a warm-up, I guess, as we think about other ways we can get together and continue these really important conversations that will hopefully make our lives easier as we get into the nitty-gritty here. So, so like I said, 8 minutes, I'll get the timer going. Which group would like to go first? And you can share your screen, whoever was the presenter or the note taker, or whoever's the presenter can grab whoever you all organized it in your respective rooms.
Have to go in sequence.
Okay. And I'll give you a minute warning.
It's going to be short and to the point. So we identified two central challenges which actually melded into one. And the first is a lack of clarity in seeking funding. There's an American tradition where it's a lot easier to match donors with needs. In Europe and in Africa, a little more challenging. So in other words, where does one look for funding? The second is limited funds, particularly for operational costs. And so in looking at the first, lack of information on funding and the lack of network, we refined the challenge. The question is there a cheat sheet for funding? Some of the solutions that came from the group, they've historically tried roundtable workshops for exactly this purpose, but there's no sort of real tradition of this kind of engagement in Europe and in Africa. I'd also mention that historically research funding also contributed to fuel station income and therefore the funding of the station. One participant tried a Horizon 2020 EU funding or responded to EU funding call. These are all ideas and historical solutions. Another is that government funds are hard to find in Africa. There are development agencies and embassies that do have significant funds. Some of our participants had accessed carbon funding through local carbon institutions like Credible Carbon, but it has limitations, not huge amounts of money, and other administrative challenges. And then in discussing, what are some of the barriers to accessing funding, we spoke about clarifying the vision, mission, and the value of the station in order to attract funding. So in other words, what makes you unique? And so those are some of the internal solutions and the resources that we are seeking from OBFS. So first is a network and potential annual meeting that matches donors and funding agencies with recipients, and not necessarily region specific. It might want to sort of do a Pan-Africa Europe model. We particularly need information on donors, institutions, and non-traditional sources of funding like the carbon market. The second is some training and how to get started. That conversation went on just because some of us are academics that are now trying to find funding. And so those are the resources, but also ways in which you think OBFS could be of assistance. The second challenge is how to fund a field station. There are various elements. There's CapEx and maintenance, research and education, but of particular concern would be the operations. It's easy to fund money for those first three, and operations were highlighted as a key challenge. Some of the solutions within the group, Gorangoza has a wonderful mixed model of a broad range of income sources, but being part of a broader initiative helps immeasurably, resulting in multiple income streams. There's also cross-subsidizing between the National Park and the E.O. Wilson Lab, but it's still hard to find to fund operations. So the message there was join forces within an institution. And I guess that's part of the second is partnerships to reduce costs, suggestion of funding through study abroad programs. It is very popular to go abroad in the United States, but becoming more so in Europe and in Australia. Accessing funding through institutions like IKEA, and then again, just to mention the carbon credit funding. So those are some of the solutions that partners had found, what kind of resources do we need. I think a workshop exactly like this is fantastic. So workshops across the OBFS field stations to exchange ideas and sort of cross-referencing. And then another idea that emerged is that we're a little bit stuck on traditional funding. So we are seeking alternatives. And so through the OBFS system, one wonders whether there isn't perhaps training available, or at least a Rolodex available. How's that?
That was
and the team, if you need to add anything, if I've missed something, please do let us know.
I have a question. If no one wants from the team wants to say anything. So you had mentioned this Pan Am model. Can you talk more? I don't know, I'm not familiar with what that was referencing.
Pan Am. Oh no, it might have been a slip of the tongue. It's Pan-African. I thought maybe
Pan-African. Okay,
yeah.
I might have misheard because I've got Latin America in my head, but okay. So
yeah, it's more. Sorry.
I was just trying to understand what the model was.
Oh, it's so rather than being a highly regionalized discussion, maybe it's sort of a Pan-African discussion or Pan-European discussion where you match donors, institutions with particular research, education, or field station needs. So running workshops where you can have these almost like a bumble for scientists and donors. Sorry,
did anyone talk about open houses where you invite a potential list of maybe 10 funders to come and have a special walkthrough of the station? Kind of identify particular. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm adding it to the list.
Okay, I'm just throwing it out there because it's open houses with select high profile guests might be one way where you are trying to fund something particular, and you can I think you guys talked about what your mission and vision is in terms of being able to really focus on your needs and showcasing your best foot forward. Maybe there's something there where you can target folks the way you need to get the money needed for a particular thing. Great. Like even if
and is that something we could potentially, sorry.
Go ahead.
Is that something that could potentially be set up through OBFS, or at least some training or some guidance through the institution? Certainly, if they've been run before, there's that component, and then there's just the Rolodex of.
Yeah, I think we could come up with something. We could, I like the virtual cafe model because we can invite people and just give an hour conversation and focus in on people who've given open houses, their strategies, what they did. We can find 4 or 5 stations to just talk about something like that. That's a possibility. Natalie, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I also had a question on maybe we as a group could also create a working group on making a list, or what you call, of this possible donations or funding organizations or even big companies that would be valuable for the Africa and European region. Just an idea.
No, I think it's I think it could be an exciting working group. It's needed. But yeah, I think it's the point of the training. Lots of good ideas. Okay, thank you. I know we want to get to the other groups as well, but let's take advantage of the time we're together to share ideas that maybe weren't brought up. Great, thank you. All right, so from the other groups, we've got research or community? Community. Was the research group, was there a note taker? or someone or a presenter identified in that group?
From breakout room 9, we've got research. You want me to go ahead?
Sure. Do you want to share your screen and we can just look at the notes? Great.
Not sure what the other research group.
No, there was only one research group now. So it looks like everyone merged into one. We lost some folks, I think.
Oh, really? Okay. So we identified a few challenges for supporting research effectively. How to develop long-term research projects. One of the groups said that their research project was only 5 years old so far, and they kind of want to take it forward. Facilities or laboratories that are needed to perform analyses, ecotoxicology, genetic or molecular work, funding for research projects, which kind of pulls into the previous session, and funding for skills development, personnel, creative capacity, and the administrative overheads that are involved with applying for a research project. So we got around to 2 of those, how to develop long-term research. Some of the solutions that were discussed was to formulate a strategy for your long-term data collection and protocols, and to keep data collection simple and easy with minimal skills required. So research students can help collect the data for those monitoring projects. And then that can also be expanded on later in time when there's a good baseline that's already available. And to develop a joint proposal to seek funding for those long-term research projects with collaborating institutions. And what resources would be needed for this would be finding a course for any research project, and do this with your collaborating networks, as mentioned before. Collaborations with institutions that have the necessary facilities for you to do your long-term research project. Staff facilities that can continue the monitoring if there aren't any students or any other people available to continue the project, and then data management of all that information to make sure that it's also accessible to people that are not within the institution. And what was discussed for OBFS was to create working groups to create proposals and link strategic plans with donors, thereby increase the funding that's required for long-term research projects. Okay, if anybody from the group wants to jump in, please feel free to do so. Then challenge 2 was infrastructure, labs, and equipment. So some of the participants had government support through their local development programs that helped to create infrastructure for their field stations. Then there's also outsourcing for laboratory experiments to universities, where if you don't have those labs or infrastructure available at the field station, then that can be done at local universities. Other field stations source equipment from international partners and local governments, and those equipments, that equipment will then be left behind after the project has been completed and can be used for other research projects. And then university groups provide their own equipment and then leave them behind afterwards. Sorry, Don, jump in if you want. Then what resources do you need for infrastructure, lab, and equipment is general workspace, facilities, wet and dry labs. We especially want something like that at our course. And then specialized laboratory equipment is often necessary or quite needed, such as compound microscopes and other very expensive equipment that help to support several research projects. And the other thoughts from the group about this topic is basic data management strategies and access for these data for visiting researchers and other research projects. In-field support with local knowledge to guide research projects when they start off especially. And then how to receive feedback from research projects, especially when you have postgraduate students that you support in the field, and then need to collate and get that information together to inform management strategies. As mentioned, there's a dire need for long-term research projects in general, and then co-developing regional research projects to scale up research topics. regionally. That sounds good, guys. Anybody want to jump in from the room or otherwise?
I think you covered most of that, most of all the discussion. Yeah, I think that was great. Thanks.
Thank you.
There's a lot to think about with the research strategies. Do you guys use surveys? Did that come up to find out, how well you're supporting the long-term research groups or working with? I'm a social scientist. So in terms of figuring out strategies that are working or not working with your user groups.
So for us personally, I ask students that have 2 to 3 year research projects with us to write a reflection report, is what I call it, just to get an idea of what went well, what didn't go well, where there could be greater support. And that's actually informed quite a lot of strategy around supporting research for the following research project. The challenge in that is always to make sure that you, especially when you have postgraduate research students, those supervisors aren't very on board, to help them as much as you can, identify which students need more help and which students are less or more dependent rather. And there's a capacity issue in terms of one person doing 19 different projects and trying to support all those projects at the same time can be very challenging.
And I know staff is always an issue.
Yeah, no, we know that.
Okay, well, that's helpful. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions before we move on to the last group? Okay, so the last group, Reg, you were in that room for the community. Is there someone from that group who's here to present?
Yes, hi, so it's Wayne here. I'll present, and Catherine was kind enough to capture the information, so she's going to share screen and I'll talk through the slides. So our group focused on improving community relationships. And there were 3 of us, Major, Catherine, and myself. No, sorry, Regis joined us as well, so there were 4 of us. And so we identified at least 5 central challenges. The first being human-wildlife conflicts. The second being community encroachment onto the parks or the stations, and often that's associated with poaching. Then the challenge of managing community expectations of the station. And then something that we actually later on lumped with number 2, because they are similar or they're related, the conflicts of use in multifunctionality of natural resource use areas where you've got multiple users, multiple stakeholders, and trying to manage all of the expectations or conflicting uses of the multiple stakeholder user groups. And then how the field station acts as an interlocutor, the relationship around communication and being the interface between a large research institution and the local communities. So we had quite a lot of discussion around these, and we didn't have much time to go into a lot of detail, but we tackled a few. So the human-wildlife conflict one, first of all, the important point was that this is not a uniquely African challenge, and it was interesting to hear the French experience around human-wildlife conflicts. And some of the stations shared what is particularly the Ugandan one had engaged in a number of strategies to try and manage these, so including planting or encouraging the planting of unpalatable crops along the park boundaries as deterrents to animals like elephants, physical boundaries, whether it be trenches or erecting fences on the boundaries. And then also more challenging is to try and influence or recommend changes in land use systems from crop cultivation to animal husbandry. Certainly from the Ugandan experience, more research and information on the types of crops that it would be deterrents, and then how they could also be used economically so that you can also generate income was highlighted there as a resource. And then how the OBFS could help link with other field stations facing similar challenges and learn from each other's experiences. Then number 2, we linked the community encroachment into parks with the conflicts of multiple use zones. We didn't really get much into solutions because what we realized is that the context really varies and that influences the types of solutions that are feasible. Because in some cases, the field station is an autonomous institution. In other cases, it's nested or embedded within a national park or some other kind of multiple use zone. And so there are a range of roles, whether it be countryside manager, guards, giving advice, taking part in scientific committees, in being more involved in outreach and education. And so the solutions would vary by the local context. We didn't really get much into further conversation on that. And then finally, just a few thoughts on the last one that we've had time to discuss, community expectations. It was highlighted the importance of not over-promising. And the challenge is that sometimes the stations don't have much control over the interaction that visiting researchers have with the local communities. And so communities often have expectations that are raised by external researchers, and then the field stations have to kind of manage those expectations. And it was highlighted the importance of having a structured way of collecting information on community expectations, and also just highlighting the importance of a centralized, structured way of interacting with communities, and community liaison officers or some kind of community-based staff are really valuable in that. And that's often a limitation. Stations don't have those human resources to be the effective interface with the community. We didn't really get time to discuss further than that, but my colleagues can chip in anything else that I failed to mention.
I've got one comment, if I might. Just the field station we run in Mexico, we partner with a local nonprofit to help us really build those community relationships when we aren't there all the time. And I think I just encourage strategic partnerships with NGOs or other groups that have similar missions or visions can relieve, I think, some of that, some of those staffing challenges when you just don't have the resources. You can find other people where you fill the void, et cetera. It's been really beneficial for us as a small station.
That's very valuable input. Thank you.
No, well, we've been there. I mean, I've got a, we started our field station, I guess, 18, 19 years ago, and we've had a lot of growing pains. So learning how to manage a lot of this it's been keeping us awake at night. Well, are there any other questions or comments? We'll make all of this available for everybody. We've got just a few more slides and we'll wrap up on the early side, which I know everyone appreciates since time is always so limited. But so two things. We just want to reiterate, again, we will be back in touch with everyone over email. So please make sure that, and can we just copy a link to the attendance spreadsheet that we've got your name and correct email, because this is our master list that we'll use to be in touch with everybody. If there's anyone else that we should be adding to the list, feel free to add them from your station as well. Great, thanks, Regis. So let me just share real quick the last two screens. Can everyone see? Can everyone see the OBFS opportunities screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So just to reiterate, at least from International Committee, we do have monthly Zoom meetings if you're interested. And we've got our information also in the attendees list. So feel free to reach out to us. Virtual cafes, we can organize around any of these topics. Laura stressed this, that we're all volunteers. So if there's something you really would love to see us do, we would love the help in making it happen. But we do have some infrastructure like Zoom that is paid for that we can access to bring people together. The matching program can create some opportunities to really dive deeply into some of the issues you're struggling with, where you can get close with 2 or 3 other stations and really help solve some of your problems. We do have an annual face-to-face meeting that I'll share more about in a minute. Travel awards are available to get 2 meetings. And we do have an exchange program for members that I mentioned earlier, where if you just want to go visit another station and see how they're doing things, that's worth taking advantage of. And then we have mini grants for strategic plan advancement. So these are all OBFS resources, and we can certainly be innovative and create more, especially when it comes to fundraising and identifying funders. I'm sure there's more that we can do on that front as a group. And then the last slide that I wanted to, again, thank you for your time. For those of you who are able to stick to the end, I know this has been a long haul. A recording will be available on the OBFS YouTube channel. You just go to YouTube and look for the Organization of Biological Field Stations. But we have our meeting, our annual face-to-face meeting from September 11th through 16 in Costa Rica, which I know is quite a ways away from many of your locations, but wanted to make sure that you knew it was happening, when it was happening, and certainly extend an invitation to all of you to come and join us and continue these conversations that we've started today. That's all I've got. Is there anyone else who has anything they want to add or share before we call the meeting to a close?
No, other than just to thank you all for setting up this amazing network, and particularly the sort of Pan-African European framework, which it's been a great need for it, and so wonderful to be part of it. And thank you so much.
Our pleasure.
I just maybe want to witness something, is that the OBFS is based on voluntary, and everything that is done by people who get involved in it. So I think the door is open for people who would have ideas to develop or to improve some discussions. We've seen in my breaking room that the time is short, the informations are quick, and by taking more time and maybe by getting differently involved, other results can be produced together. But it's the first step.
Yes, it's a lot of time. Great. Well, thank you, everyone. And I'll stop sharing the screen. And if anyone has any questions, again, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we will be following up with you in the next few weeks. Give us a little time. You're very welcome. Ciao.
Thanks so much.